Do 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 do. So I can't tell when the broadcasting actually starts, believe it or not, with all the high-tech support I have around me. In any case, clearly we are running now. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Dan Nelson. Maybe you know that. And I've resisted doing this particular episode or this subject for a long time simply because of the inadvisability of taking a video of a computer monitor. However, I have finally decided that in spite of the inadvisability of such an endeavor, the information that I want to give you today, I hope will be very practical and helpful for you. And the title, as soon as I was up and ready to go, I realized there's a typo. It's not supposed to say, you're to edit photos in Photoshop, although maybe you are. I will edit that. It's supposed to be how. I swear I typed the word how, and my computer turned it into the word your. So you know how that goes. So this is how to edit photos of paintings in Photoshop. Now, that assumes, number one, that you're an artist, that you want to put out your paintings on the internet, especially if you want to get good prints made. Now, one option is the one I have rarely taken, which is I pick up my painting, I put it in the car, I drive across town, I deliver it to somebody who's a professional, and I let them do all this. If that's your life, go for it. It's not mine. I'm way too busy. I don't want to spend the money, so I do it all myself. Okay, and I've been working on this for years, and I do want to share with you how I do it. Now, also, it assumes that you own a computer. Forgive me. But some of my students, retirees, you know, that's as far as I'll go with that, are not always the most technologically savvy people on the planet. Forgive me, but I'm assuming that everybody watching this, you own a computer, and number two, you own Photoshop. Now, I just looked it up just a few minutes ago, and you can buy Photoshop elements from anywhere from $70 to $100. $70, $75, $80 to own Photoshop elements. And everything I'm going to show you, I used to own, I guess I still do technically, but I used to use Photoshop elements. And I'm not sure what it doesn't do. I'm sure there's a lot of things it doesn't do, but Photoshop elements, in other words, it's a trimmed down, skinnier, less fancy version of Photoshop, but it did everything I wanted to do. I'm pretty sure it does everything I'm going to show you today, okay? So before I show you how to edit in Photoshop, we need to take just a minute and discuss how to photograph paintings. Now, the reason I'm not doing that today, I did photograph my paintings today. That's what I'm going to show you. But the reason I'm not going to show you how to do that is because there's already a video. If you will go to YouTube, I'm assuming you're already on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, Dan Nelson, how to photograph a painting or how to photo your paintings or something like that, you will find, I think I've actually done it twice. Not sure about that, but I've done at least one video where I show you. But for those of you that don't want to go look at that right now, I will take a minute to, in a graph form, show you how I do it. Now, the challenge with photographing at least one of my paintings is that my paintings, hi Naveen, good to see you, my friend. My paintings are very glossy, they're very shiny. Therefore, they're difficult to shoot. The only way you can, in my opinion, the only way you can edit a photograph is if you have, these are light bulbs, is if you have lighting at a very oblique, that is to say, let's pretend this clipboard is my painting, okay? Here's trees, mountains, lake, and a deer, okay? Oh, and a building, a city. There, now it's my painting. The only right way to photograph this painting, to light this painting, is to have the lights coming from an extreme oblique angle, way off to the side. Are you with me? If you have a light out in front and your camera's out front, you're just going to get 100% glare. So let me show you how I light my paintings. And I've tried everything. I've tried hot lights. I used hot lights for a number of years. But now, let me go back to this page. But now, here's what I do. I live in a house with a garage. So again, if you don't have a garage, a traditional American garage, this could be a challenge for you. But a lot of you do have a garage or you have something like it. Here's what I do. I open the garage door. So this, you're standing here in my garage, and here's the garage door overhead, right? That's opened. So we're looking out into the street. Here's cars going by on the street out in front of my house. Are you with me? I just want to make sure you're standing in my garage. And it's important that any lights that you have in your garage, right? Any light bulbs, you turn them off. You want no light coming this way. So basically, I set up a tripod right outside my garage door. How far outside? That depends on the lighting and the weather. Anywhere from 6 inches to 1.5 feet, but real close to the garage door. Are you with me? It's just a simple tripod. Then the next thing I do is I take a large sheet of something dark. Now I happen to have a sheet of PVC. Let me see if I've got a big fat marker. Ooh, I do have a fat marker here. So I have a big sheet of PVC plastic. It doesn't matter. It just has to be dark. It doesn't have to be black. Mine is black. It could be dark gray, but it has to be dark. Now the reason for this, and some people have gotten in the past confused about this, they thought this was parallel to taking pictures of jewelry and setting your diamonds in front of a gray felt screen. This is not that. This is not that. All this black screen does is it blocks, well, let me do another diagram, right? If you take a picture of your painting, here's your painting, and your painting is a mid-tone, medium, light, dark, right? So it's a mid-tone. And everything around it is daylight. Like if you just set it on an easel, like this, a tripod, okay? If you take a picture of your painting, even if it's sitting just outside your garage door, so there's no light coming this way, the daylight, again, so this is just for clarity, this is your car, and this is other people's cars going down the street in front of your house, okay? This is all bright, 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 bright sunshine. If you do that, the light around your painting will bleed into your painting. Does that make sense? You can't have light right up against the edge of your painting. So what you do, again, to take off from this, is you put a big piece of black something or dark gray behind your painting. And now the light will not bleed from the background on your painting. I hope that makes sense to you. Again, that's as far as I want to take that because I already have a video on it that shows it much better. Okay, then the next thing I do, and this, don't tell anybody I told you this. I use my phone. Now, here's my phone. I just accidentally turned off my broadcast. Thanks to the touch screen, right? Come on, come on, come on. Okay, there we go. This is my phone. And if you tell anybody, I'll deny everything because I would be utterly humiliated if professional people knew that I photograph all of my paintings with my phone. Because that is so Bush League, right? I should have a great big fancy schmancy. Thank you, David. Thank you, David. Yes, I should have a great big fancy schmancy digital SLR. Well, you know what? I do. No, it's not. It's getting a little bit old. I do have a fancy schmancy digital SLR with a nice lens. Don't tell anybody, but I don't use it anymore. I use my phone. Okay, so those of you with great big fancy schmancy digital SLRs, bully for you. That's what I think you should use. But for the rest of us, my phone, I think, and it is an Android, it has an 18 megapixel camera in it. 18 megapixel. That's bigger than a lot of phones used to be. Let me catch up with some of my comments here. Thank you, you guys. I haven't delivered the garden painting yet. That'll be this afternoon. And hello, Naveen in India. Good to see you, my friend. And Bruno in Germany. And David makes a good point. If you have a camera, set it to RAW. Okay, so I'm reading your comments. Thank you. Good. Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it. Tommy, I called you Tommy. Mark, to me. The next thing, I'll say one more thing with my diagram here. Okay, I put it away too quickly. So you take your phone, and you have to be a little bit savvy about using your camera phone or your real camera, either one. But I'm going to talk to those of you who are limited. You're going to use your digital phone, your camera on your phone to take your pictures. First of all, set it, if you have a setting, do set it on RAW. Number two, you want to, and I'm talking here to Android and iPhone people, you want to set it into pro camera setting, okay? You do not want it in auto. And some of you don't even know that your phone has a professional setting. Maybe your phone doesn't, but almost everybody's does. Now, a quick caveat here, I will say, even though I'm a Mac guy, this is a Mac computer, all my real computers, the ones that weren't PCs, have all been Macs. I just bought a PC laptop a couple weeks ago. I don't call that my real computer. All my real computers are Macs. Even if they're old, they still work great. So I'm a Mac guy, but I'm about to tell you that up until now, the Android cameras are better than the iPhone. I love iPhones. I never owned one. Long story. But the cameras, the iPhone, the Android camera beats the pants off. Sorry, the iPhone camera. So you iPhone people, you're just going to have to do the best you can. And maybe now that the iPhone number 15 or whatever number they're up to, maybe it's as good as a Android. I don't know. I'm not an expert on it. But you want it in professional mode, and then you're going to have to learn how to drive the Pro, especially the color, the Kelvin. You want to set Kelvin appropriately. You just look at your screen and adjust it, and when what's on your screen looks like you're painting, that's the right setting. And you want to adjust the exposure. And I do this. I set the Kelvin, and that's lighting temperature. I set Kelvin and exposure, looking at the whole camera, at the whole painting. You with me? So this is what I'm seeing, the whole painting: mountains, stream, buildings. I'm looking at the whole painting on my screen. But when it's time to start taking pictures, depending on how large the painting is, typically I'll put my phone in a vertical orientation, and I'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 photographs. Each one of those is roughly 25 megabyte size file. So that equals roughly a 200 megabyte document. Okay, so are you with me? Because some of you are saying, well, how can you get good quality with your phone? This is how you do it. It's called you tile, T-I-L-E. That is, you don't just take one picture. Oh my goodness. I mean, I take one for like Facebook and stuff like that. I take one photograph and edit it for stupid stuff. But if I want to do reproductions, and I do, like Fine Art America, I want to be able to make good giclée prints out of these pictures. And I want for a second, I want some of you to let that sink in. I am taking reproduction giclée, professional giclée quality photographs with my phone. Now I'm not so impressed with my skill, although some of that. No, I'm impressed with the dang phone. 18 megapixel camera. Anyway, So you want it in Pro, you adjust the lighting and you adjust the exposure and you adjust the color temperature so it looks like that. And then you're going to tile the heck out of the thing. Now, and I'm getting a little further in here than I expected to. Here's the only time that you'll get into trouble with tiling is if, let's say you want to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You want to take 9 pictures of your painting. This will get difficult. This is the one downside, is that if you have one photograph of your painting that's stuck in the middle, that's not connected to any boundary, your Photoshop might, I just say might, have a hard time putting this all together. Okay, so most of the time, and again, I'm getting a little deeper than I expected. I hope I'm saving somebody here by all this detail, but let me say that again. So again, the word is called tile. You're going to take several pictures of your painting, and if it's a small painting, you can do one picture, 2 picture, 3 picture, 4 picture, and that's it. If it's bigger than that, you can take 6 pictures. If it's bigger than that, you can take 8 pictures. But you'll notice as long as you don't have one that's isolated in the middle, and sometimes this works. But if Photoshop's because Photoshop is going to put all these together for you. Okay, you don't. In the olden days, oh man, 20 years ago, we used to actually line things up pixel to pixel on our monitor. Woo, crazy. But now we don't have to do that. But this is the only thing. This is a problem right here. So you probably don't want to do. Whoops, that's supposed to be an angry face. You probably want to avoid having one isolated picture in the middle. Okay. Now, one more thing. Let me change colors here. It does get a little bit complicated. Let's look at this. Let's say you're going to tile your painting. You're going to take 6 pictures of it. Well, you don't take 6 pictures. Are you with me so far? You take 6 views of your painting. But you take, listen, 3 or 4. Let's just say 3. You take 3 pictures of that, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. Oh, could be 4 if you're really fussy. Most of the time, 3 does the job. So now, when you're finished in your garage photographing your painting, you with me? How many pictures have you taken of your painting? Well, first of all, you took one of the whole thing to set up your Kelvin and to set up your exposure. You took one of those. So that was 1. Then you took 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. You took 18 photographs of your painting. 3 of each view. Why 3 of each view? Again, you can get really fancy. Don't tell anybody what I do because I'll be embarrassed to death. I'll never be able to show my face in public if you guys squeal on me and tell other people what I do. So this just between me and you. I hold my camera with my hands. If I was a real photographer, first of all, I'd have a $4,000, $2,000 digital SLR camera with a good lens, and I'd have it on a tripod, and I'd have a remote cable. By the way, I own all of that stuff. You with me? It's sitting in a closet. I don't use it. So, because why? Because this does good enough. I just don't want anybody to know. I don't want Fine Art America to know. I do their 150 megabyte images, high res, color balanced, super detailed with my phone. Okay. All right. So that's how you photograph it. Right now we're ready to start talking about Photoshop, but I got a lot of comments here, so let's see what's going on. Oh, just great tips. And David Mercer's giving us another good comment. And turn off the movement setting to what? To what, David? Finish that sentence. Turn off the movement setting. Yeah, I'm just going to say whatever David's saying. I'm sure that's really true. I'm serious. But basically, you need to learn how to use the professional mode in your camera, which many of you, if you're just like a typical, snap shooter. You just click, shoot, 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 shoot. Then you have to get beyond that a little bit. Okay. Whew. Let's now talk about, let's pretend you've either got Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. Oh, I should add, And I know I'm rambling all over the place, but I need to say this. If you want to buy the real Photoshop, you don't go out and buy it anymore. Like I still have in one of these drawers, I have, you know, the DVD the Photoshop came on. Nah, that's just Macintosh. But you know, you used to get Photoshop like this. Are you with me? And it cost, the last one I got through my son in college, and it cost me $300 or $400 for a $700 app. Whew. I don't do that anymore. They don't even sell it this way anymore. They sell it on a prescription basis. I pay $20 a month for my Photoshop. They update it. I get the latest, greatest, bells and whistles. Every time they update it, I get an automatic update. So to me, 20 times 12, $240 a year. Is that what it is? $20 a month is a great deal. Bargain. I use the heck out of Photoshop. And so there you go. You can either buy Photoshop Elements, $80, or $20 a month for the whole shebang. All right. Whew. Now, once you've got your images in your computer, and by the way, for that, I use, I don't know if you can see how well you can see these details. I use Google Photos because every picture I take on my phone automatically goes into the cloud and I can access it. So I don't have to send pictures from my phone to my computer like I used to do in the olden days. You know, thumb drive, email, transfer, anything. No. It just all shows right up. And I think there's a comparable thing. Now, right now I'm in the Google world. You iPhoto people, I think it's iPhoto. Automatically goes into the cloud. Okay, do you see this little icon up there? Google Photos. So I love it. So it's usually about the time that I've cleaned up all my equipment downstairs in the garage and I walk upstairs. I'm in my upstairs studio today. The images are already there. Now, let's start talking about the nitty-gritty. How to edit. So you have to download all these. Click, 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 all those. Well, I'll do it the way I actually do it. You click that one, push down the Shift key on a Macintosh anyway, and click that one. So all those are selected. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got it? So 9 pictures of this small painting. And then you click download and they all appear down here. And you drag them down. I'm giving too much detail here because your system might be different than mine. Okay? Then it's a zip file up here on my computer. I double click on that. I'll go ahead and do that. And then it unzips them, right? I've done it twice, so and then I click on this, and Yahoo! There are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I counted wrong. There's my 12 images, not 9, 12. Because I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, I took 4 different views of this painting. 3 times 4 is 12. Let me make this a little bit bigger just so you can see what's going on here. In fact, I'll make it even bigger than that. Okay, so you can see here that I've got, this is my Krispy Kreme painting that I did last Friday night in Peggy's Gallery in Wilson. Here's the far left side of that painting. 1, 2, 3. Got it? Now, here's where the nitty-gritty starts. So I'm going to open all 3 of those. I select those. I double-click in the Macintosh world. And I think I just duplicated that. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll go with it. Let's go with it. Okay, so I'm an old-fashioned guy. I'm an old-fashioned because I learned Photoshop back in the ancient Middle Ages. So I like a navigator. Some of you guys don't know what that is. You don't like it. You don't need it, but I do. And there's a couple of reasons because it always helps me make sure I'm on the right part of the painting. So I'm going to enlarge it. Quick interruption here. I am using a Wacom tablet. Wacom, Wacom, Wacom. The people from the factory You can watch a video from the people that make this thing. They call it a Wacom tablet. So that's what I call it. Okay, so when I write with this stylus there, and it keeps me, helps me do all the digital stuff I want to do. Okay, so part of the time that's what I'm using. So right now, you see, can you see my cursor? See my cursor there, moving around, waving at you? I'm going to blow this up to 200%. I've discovered for most of the time, 200% is the ideal size. You can go bigger than there. There's 100 and there's 200. Are you with me? There it is. Now I'm going to leave this image and go to the next one. Boom. And my navigator tells me if I'm still got the same image. See, because it doesn't change. No matter, the picture stays the same no matter how far it's blown up. Okay, now I'm going to blow it up to 200%. 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. 200. So now I've got, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Select this one. And let's blow this, the same picture, same image. Like I took 3 pictures. I shouldn't say the same picture. It's the same image. But I took 3 different photographs. I'm going to blow all 3 of them up to 200%. Now here's the big question, and I'm sure some of you understand this. Why do I take 3 pictures? Because I'm doing it with my hand, and my hand is moving like this. Sometimes I take 4, but usually, well, 1 of the 3 or 2 of the 3 will be good. And again, I'm driving all professional photographers crazy with this, but don't tell any professional photographers. It'll be our little secret, and that'll just be good enough. Okay, I'm going to move, this is the word C in my painting, and I'm going to move both of these, whoops, so that the word C is just about in the middle. Then I toggle back and forth between these 2 paintings, these 2 photographs, I mean, and I'm looking for tiny details to see which one of these 2 photographs is better. That one or that one. Now, you probably can't see this, but this one is better. So I turn off the lesser, the worser of the 2, then I'm going to open the 3rd one. Again, I'm going to move it so they're just about in the same spot. And now I go back and forth between these 2. 1, 2, 1. You have to look for light things and dark things. 1, 2. Number 2 is definitely better, so I turn off that one. All right, so I have selected the best of the 3. And I just want to say, trust me, this is a very sharp, in focus photograph of this part of my painting. Are you with me? So the next thing I'm going to do is, by the way, it's shortcut M. I'm going to select this image, in other words, where I'm going to crop it. And now, normally I would do that in crop, except for some reason this computer, the Photoshop on this computer, the crop doesn't work. So I have to do it under image, crop. I know that's really weird. Okay, so now it's cropped, but I hope you can see that it's got a bit of the background showing. So I'm going to distort this image real easy, drag this corner down. Can you see what I'm doing there? So now there's no edge or background showing. Hit enter. Turn off that just for fun. So now I have the left side of this painting, this Krispy Kreme painting. Let me show you again. It's in very sharp focus. 2 of my photos were very good. 1 of them was pretty good. So there it is at 400%. That is huge compared to how it's going to be seen. I mean, it's so big at 400% that the bumps in the canvas, are you with me? The weave in the canvas is almost a 1/4 inch. Each bump in the canvas is nearly a 1/4 inch at this size right here. And that's pretty good focus. I just want you to see. And the color is pretty good. Now, I don't tweak the color at this stage. I turn that off. No, I save it. I'm sorry. Control save. and I just save it to my desktop, and we're done. Boom, done with that one, and then we go on to the next one. Now, I would do that same process 4 times. Yes, this is a little bit laborious, but I've showed it to you once. I'm gonna turn that off now. Boom, I turned all those off because I've already done all of that work. Turn that off. I've already done all of that work with a different painting. So let me not confuse you here too much. Please understand, you take pictures, 3 or 4 shots of each corner of your painting, say, or each slice of your painting. So you end up with 12, 18, 24 photographs of your painting. Then you go into your computer and you pick the best one of each of those 3 or 4. You with me? So I've already done that. Now, at this point, I'm going to change paintings on you, okay? Because I don't want you to watch me. That's the most time-consuming part that I just showed you, is pulling up the 3 images and picking the best one. That's the most labor-intensive part. So I don't want to do that in front of your camera. Instead, we are now going to switch to, clean up a little bit. We're going to switch to a different painting, and we're going now back to Photoshop. So I've just opened Photoshop again, and I'm going to pick you up. Sorry for the earthquake ride, but I want you to be able to see, for those of you who want to know how to use Photoshop, I'm going to the upper left corner of my screen, hit File, and drag down to, getting there, drag down to Automate, okay? Whoops. And then under Automate, down here at the bottom of the Automate window, do you see that? Is Photo Merge. Select that. Let go. Now it's going to ask me, oh yeah, Smarty Pants, so what do you want to photo merge? Are you with me? And it's none of those. It's just ignore that. For me, you can do fancy things, not if you're an artist doing paintings. You ignore that. Browse, boom. Desktop. And I saved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I did a painting a couple weeks ago that I took 6 different views of that canvas. I took 3 or 4 shots of each view and selected the best one. That's what these are. These are the best ones, and they're all squared up, like I showed you. There's no background edges sneaking through around. They're all squared up. So I just select those. Then down here I click Open, and then those are the 6. And then I hit OK. Now watch what happens. Photoshop is doing all of this for me, and this is fantastic. There's no way you could do manually. There's no way you could do what Photoshop does for you. Sometimes I've messed up in my photography, and the edges don't come together. Let's hope that doesn't happen here. That's pretty rare, but let's hope it works. If it doesn't work, it'll say layers cannot be blended or something like that. It'll say, no, can't do it. It looks like we're good. It says creating seamless composition. Boom! There it is. There is my painting. It's 6 pieces. They've merged it all together. And you could do that part. Like 20 years ago, we used to do that. Pixel to pixel, line up. Oh, it was horrible. Took forever. But here's what Photoshop also does for you. It lightens and darkens and tweaks the color of each piece so that they match. That's what would be virtually impossible to do without Photoshop. Okay? Now, here's all my layers over here. You can see they're all highlighted. I don't want that. So again, I'm getting too deep into Photoshop. Control-Shift-E merges those. Now it's all one image. I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit so I can work with it now. I'm going to select all, so I've got a border around the whole thing. And I'm going to just simply straighten up. I'm in distort right now. And I'm going to make sure that all the corners line up perfectly so there's no background showing. It looks like on this painting, it looks like all I have to do is use distort. Sometimes you have to use warp because of lens bending. There'll be bits of the painting that you can see. Let me see. Oh, no, I have a tiny bit of background showing here and a tiny bit here. So select all again and distort, select distort, edit, distort. I just have to move enlarge the painting a tiny bit. There we go. So now this is all one painting. And by the way, it's a 92.5 megabyte file. Does that make sense to you? 92 megabyte. Now back in the dark ages, 92 megabyte used to be like monstrously huge. You couldn't even, the computers we used didn't even, handle images that large. I'm looking now to make sure everything's okay, and I'm not sure that it is. That looks, at 100%, that looks a little soft right there. Let's look elsewhere and see if it's the same resolution throughout the entire canvas. I think it is. No, actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure that area right there, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to open a sharpening tool. I'm going to enlarge the cursor, and it's set at 50% sharpening. I'm going to go in here and sharpen that tool. Let me enlarge that and see what I'm doing. Now, I know that I'm getting way too deep in the weeds for some of you guys. And some of you, if you're a Photoshopper, again, some of you professionals are going, oh, no, you can't use the sharpening tool. Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, but you can a little bit. You can do a little bit, just a little bit. Again, it was set at 50%. I'm waiting for my computer to catch up. This is an old computer. Come on, Bessie. Sharpen is a information-heavy tool, but it shouldn't quite take this long. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, no, I can't even move. That would be bad if my antique computer gets in the way of my demo here, which it is doing right now. Some of you Mac people are going, dang, he's using an old computer. That is correct. Okay, there we go. That's blown up pretty close, pretty close. Let's back up then and see if where I sharpened, if it looks a little better. It does a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to go any further deeper into the weeds there. So there basically is my painting. And this painting, I believe, was 30 by 40. It was a pretty good sized painting. Now, I've done everything except tweak the color. Okay, so again, I don't want to go too far in this, but I will tell you that one of the functions I'll use is Control-Shift-L, and I'll get an automatic auto tone set on the camera. Boy, did it. Oh yeah, boy, it hardly made any difference. Now, you cannot trust the auto tone is the computer, the Photoshop in computer try to figure out, we think this picture should be tweaked in this direction. And you can always do it just to see what the computer thinks. Most of the time, I don't do that. But in this case, the adjustment was so subtle that I'm going to let it go. So just a real quick, first of all, I'll go to Levels, and I very rarely do I use the darkest level, because that's turning the blackest things blacker, or the darkest things blacker. I don't want things black, but I'll use the middle. If I want it darker, if I want the overall painting darker, then I'll use the mid-tone slider, so that I'm not turning things black, I'm just turning things dark. Okay, that looks a little better. Oh, by the way, let me add something here. This is best to do, of course, if you have the painting right in front of you, so you can look at the painting and look at your screen back and forth. Also, you have to have some idea how your screen behaves. And I happen to know that this screen shows everything. I could recalibrate it, but I don't need to because I'm so used to it. It shows everything a little bit lighter than it really is. In other words, if I want something to look good in a print, I'll adjust it lighter here on the screen. So again, I'm just used to it. That you have to do that. But this painting is gone. It's sold, and I don't have that luxury. Very often, I will grab the lightest and bring it down just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Like it's set at 255 automatic. I might bring it down to 250 to help me get just the lights I want. Now, as this is, it's a little bit lighter than I really want it, but that's good because that's the way this monitor works. Hit OK. Now, typically the last thing I do, I'll go into hue saturation, and let's see what happens if I increase the saturation. Oh yeah, that does. It looks a little better. Now, just one more comment, and then I'll zoom back in here. Which to you, and you can answer this for yourself, which to you is more important? That this look exactly like your painting, or that this look like a good painting? Are you with me? Now, I think you can go either way on that, and I feel like all the snobs, forgive me, would go with the first. No, I want this to look exactly like my painting. Well, that's not me, because one person in the whole world has this painting hanging in their living room wall. I know who they are. I know where they live. I don't care. They're not gonna buy a print of this from Photoshop, from Fine Art America. Are you with me? So I don't care, frankly, that this looks exactly like my painting. What I care about is it looks like a killer painting. That's what I care about. Because if somebody goes and buys a print of this, I want their print to look good. My print will not alter my original painting. And only, like I say, one man and woman, husband, wife in downtown Raleigh own the original. They're not going to buy a print. I don't need to please them. They're not going to buy a print and say, it looks a little darker than our painting. Because they own the painting, they're not going to buy a print. Are you with me? And again, now if I was doing Rembrandt paintings, different story. But I'm the artist. I have control. I can do what I want. And again, I feel like that would drive some people, what I just said, drive them berserk, because it ought to be exact as possible. And I don't believe that. Plus, I don't have the painting here. So my job is to turn this into as good a painting as possible. Now, I feel like the blue in this painting should be, again, to match my memory of the painting, the blue should be a little stronger. So I'm actually selected blue, cyan here. I'm going to, and first of all, I'll darken it to see, oh yeah, to see what I'm controlling. Yeah, that's good. Darken it a tiny bit, and then increase the saturation a tiny bit. And then do I want to shift the hue? Well, I'll try it just to see what it looks like. Does that look better? Does that look better? Ooh, looks a little bit better toward the ultramarine side. I'm talking about the blue sky. And when I say a little bit, like a +2, that's a really tiny shift. All right. Then when I'm done with that, I do things like, let's fix the size. So resolution, you don't want a 72. You want it at 300, almost always. And the painting was 30 by 40. So if I do this 15 by 20, oh, I just lost some definition. So I'm going to change this to, and forgive me, some of you, I'm way too deep for you right here. Turn off constrained proportions. Okay, now I have, I'm going to click yes. I enlarged the image slightly, very slightly. Now it's exactly, and this is important to me, this is the exact ratio of the original. Because when you're doing stuff like this, it can get a little bit wonky and it gets stretched out one way or the other. And I don't want it wonky. I do want this the exact shape of the original. Now, I have now a 99 megabyte file, and that's just a little bit big. So I'm going to come in here and just toggle down to 90.5, click OK. So now I haven't artificially enlarged, which again, Fine Art America does not like you to artificially enlarge. Okay, one more thing, then we're done. And that is save this. For me, anyway, it's a Photoshop file, which means it's 90.5. But if I Fine Art America can't handle the Photoshop file, they need a JPEG, maybe some other things. So I'm going to click, and I'll give it a name. No, I'll do that later. So it's now saved on my desktop as a JPEG. And let's see how big it is now. I'm going to turn this off, and the computer's going to say, do you want to save this Photoshop file? And for me, anyway, I don't care about that anymore. That is now gone. Now what I have on my desktop is a JPEG without a name. I'm going to open that. Nothing should change but I want to see how big it is. It says it's still 90.5. Let me turn that off and do a get info, and that'll tell me how big it really is if I send it to somebody. And the answer is 22.4. So the JPEG, and by the way, you always save JPEGs at the maximum quality. You don't back down. You save it at a 12. But it's now, this file is now a 22.4, which is wonderful, because that means that I can send this. Fine Art America, for instance, won't take anything over 25 megabyte, which is cheesy. I wish they would. That is the one bad thing about Fine Art America. They ought to increase that, because sometimes I have big paintings and I want to send them a 50 megabyte JPEG. But at this point, the biggest they'll take is a 25 megabyte. And actually, you can cheat a little bit and sometimes get a 26, 26 and a half, and they'll let you do that. But there's my painting. Plenty good enough. I like this painting. It's a scene I did a couple weeks ago. I did it en plein air, set up on Dorothea Dix Hill, overlooking the skyline. I've done this scene 4, 5, 6 times. This is my favorite one so far. It was a commission, and I'm very happy with it. And I'm going to be happy to post this to Fine Art America so that you guys can buy prints of it. You can buy a note card for $5, of which I get $1. Or you can buy as big as this image, the quality of this image. It will probably allow for 30 by 40. You could probably buy a 30 by 40 inch, and that would be $80 or $90 or something like that. You'd also get shower curtains, bath towels, mugs. Knock yourself out with this image on it. Anyway, I know this is probably a very limited subject matter, because it's only for you serious artists who want to know, how do I get from painting to online high quality? Or how do I get from a painting to a giclée? Many ways to skin the cat. Now, I've had some really good comments here. Let me go back and see what else is going on here. David Mercer says the digital camera makes a blue color in the photo. I didn't know that, David, and I love the way you spell blue, my Canadian friend. Yes, you have to watch out for that. So that's why you never trust what shows up on your screen saying, well, that's what they said. No, you adjust it accordingly. And of course, when I'm taking the picture, I adjust Kelvin. In the professional mode, you adjust the color temperature while you're taking the picture. And then Kaz, thank you, one of my regulars, Kaz, good to have you aboard. Adobe Creative Cloud. Thank you for mentioning that, Kaz. Okay, let me back up. Again, Kaz brings up a good point. If you subscribe, I told you I pay $20 a month for Photoshop. There's a whole bunch of Creative Cloud, Illustrator, InDesign, what you said, PowerPoint, and maybe a couple others. Yeah, Darkroom. I may have just mentioned there's like 5 apps, and if you get all of them, if you're a full-time designer, I'm not talking to you because you already use all of those. But that's like $100 a month or something. That's pretty expensive. But for those of you, it's good to know. But I just subscribe to Photoshop, and $20 to me, that's pretty reasonable. So that's what I do. And David says, for those that have a working office computer, PowerPoint will do it. Wow. That is news to me, David. Does PowerPoint do all of this? I'm really surprised. I take your word for it. I have no idea. And I'm not going to learn PowerPoint. I've used it for presentations slightly, but that's all. Oh, and you can get PowerPoint free on Google Apps. Oh yeah, Lightroom, cause that's right. Anyway, I know that, again, that this broadcast is only for a few, but that's how I do it. And there's, again, many ways to skin the cat. And forgive me, you purists, any purists out there, they're tearing their hair out saying, no, he's telling them all wrong. And I would say, yeah, high-res file, done with my phone. It's good enough. Fine Art America, I have over 300 paintings at Fine Art America. And by the way, if you send them one and it's got a bad area, out of focus area in it, their computer will pick up on it and send it back to you and say this is not good enough. So cool. That's a really good function that the Fine Art America, and there's a lot of other places too. I'm not advertising. Well, sure, I'll tell you, Fine Arts America is working well for me. But it's really cool that if you send them accidentally, like if one part of this photo is out of focus and I didn't know it, their computer will pick up on that and they'll kick it back to you. So that's all. Thanks, guys. I hope that's helpful for somebody. And I need to give this a title, don't I? Oh, that's easy. Skyline. I'm so imaginative in my titles. From is a no capital. Dix Hill. I'm just going to call it 4 because I've done it so many times before. All right. Save. Now it's saved as a document. The next step will be uploading that to Fine Art America, and I'm not going to show you how to do that. That would be way too deep in the weeds. Thanks, you guys, for watching. I enjoyed your comments very much. Enjoyed your company. And those of you who needed to hear this, I hope you're blessed by this. Send me a comment after it's all over and tell me if this was helpful to you. Thanks for watching. That's all. Bye.